హాయ్ దీక్ష.
Hello.
హౌ ఆర్ యూ?
I'm great.
ఏం చేస్తున్నావు ఇప్పుడు?
I'm studying about the periodic table. As you can see this chart over here.
యా, అవును, నేను చూసాను ఇందాక వచ్చినప్పుడు మీరు చేస్తున్నారు. మాకు కూడా కొంచెం నాలెడ్జ్ ఇస్తావా? కొంచెం
Of course, why not?
ఓకే, చేస్తావా? ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తావా?
Yes, let's start.
యా.
So there are so many elements in the universe, and our scientists discovered 118 of them, 118 of them, and there's a chance there are more than 118 element, but they haven't been discovered yet. The periodic table was invented by Dmitri Mendeleev in 1869. So let's see the groups and how the table works. So this is the first group. It's called they are the alkali metals. They're quite reactive. They're soft reactive metals. So okay, I'm gonna tell you some facts about them. So lithium is so soft you can easily cut it with a sharp knife. And there's lots of sodium in the Dead Sea, but surprisingly it's quite in its pure state. It's quite reactive with water. And bananas contain lots of potassium. That's why bananas are good for you, because potassium helps regulate heartbeat. So fireworks contain rubidium because they use it for their flames, because it creates a bright purple colored flame. And calcium is often stored in bottles of oil. It's always stored in bottles of oil, because when it's exposed to air, it bursts. And francium, nobody knows much about francium, because it vaporizes almost immediately after being created. It's incredibly rare. And aquamarines and emeralds contain beryllium. So the second orange colored group is called the alkaline earth metals. They are very reactive metals, not found as pure elements, not found as pure elements. So aquamarines and emeralds contain beryllium. And if magnesium catches fire, hosing it with water would just make the flames worse.
Okay.
Isn't that cool? So cheese is, if you like dairy products and eat lots of them, that's good for you, because dairy products like cheese contain calcium, which is good for your bones and also your teeth. And strontium produces bright red colored flames. That is also used in fireworks, like flower pots. And rocks that contain barium glow at night time, and patients are given barium to eat. So under an X-ray it glows. And radium was used to paint glow in the dark hands on watches and clocks. The women who painted them were known as the radium girls, but most of them went very ill of licking the paint brushes. And if you're wondering why they did that, that's because they thought it was something good, like calcium. They thought it was healthy, something healthy, and they licked it, but soon they went ill and died, to a point that radium is poisonous.
Okay.
And so now let's move to another group called the transition metals. This is the biggest group, as you can see. So they are malleable, ductile, and they are very good conductors of electricity. So titanium is named after mythological Greek giants called Titans because it's very strong. And it's also very lightweight, so it's used in spaceship. And yttrium is named after the city it's found in, Ytterby. It's named after the village it was found in. It's called Ytterby.
Okay.
So this looks like a expensive diamond, right? But it's actually a zirconia crystal made of zirconium metal. And if niobium reacts with oxygen, it gives out vivid colors. And rhodium is used is in jewelry so that it doesn't go like spoil. And tungsten is often used as part of the weapon and in wars in World War I. That's because it can get really hot without melting. It has the highest melting point. So the iridium is named after the Greek goddess of rainbows, Iris.
Yeah.
That's because it produces brightly colored salts.
Okay.
So platinum is much more rare and much more rare than gold.
Yeah.
All the platinum ever mined would fit into a small room. And gold and copper are the only metals that aren't grey. And cadmium is used in making bright paints, but it can in some forms it's really toxic, so it's restricted. It's so that to protect the environment, people and the environment.
Okay.
And mercury was once used to make felts that was used in hats, but people who wore the hats and made the hat, it's often got mercury poisoning and they had wild mood swings. It was called Mad Hatter's disease. So they went like they would often go into a buzz of madness, and they would like heavily laugh, cry, or get angered. They'll go mad. And silver is the most reflective metal of all, and so it's often used as a coating for mirrors. And copper silver is a great conductor of electricity. It's like the best conductor of electricity, but it has a few disadvantages. So copper is a good option. So that we mostly use copper nowadays as wiring. And cobalt. If you're wondering how cobalt got its name, it's the German word. Cobalt is the German word for goblin. You know what that means, right? So that's because early cobalt miners got poisoned by tiny traces of arsenic found in rocks. That's another kind of element. And in the metalloids group, they were poisoned by the arsenic, and they thought it was the cobalt which poisoned them. And so they thought, the cobalt miners thought maybe that cobalt was cursed by goblins, that anyone who took it out would try to take it out would die of poisoning, they thought. So so iron there's more iron in the earth than any other metal.
Okay.
And nickel is also called devil's copper, and it's used to dye glass green color.
Okay.
And rubies and emeralds get their colors of green and red from chromium.
Okay.
The first ever laser was made from a chromium ruby.
Okay.
And there's a lot more. So I don't think I have enough time to tell you all. So I'll tell you one last one. Okay.
Okay.
So palladium is used to lighten and gold. Adding palladium to gold will turn it into white gold. It will appear a bit lighter.
Okay.
So now let's move to the other metals group, this green one over here.
Okay.
And they are malleable, ductile, solid and dense metals.
Okay.
So aluminium. Aluminium is often used by forensics to catch up fingerprints. It sticks to the oil left behind by the fingerprint, and so that the forensics can identify who a criminal was at a crime scene.
Okay.
So gallium, if you hold a piece of gallium, if you hold a piece of gallium in your hand, it will melt. Yeah, isn't that cool? So you can get gallium and you can make any shape out of it. If you pour it into a mold, you can actually shape it at home. And if you bend indium, it will cause a crackling sound. Scientists call it screaming.
Okay.
So if tin gets really cold, it crumbles into dust.
Okay.
And so thallium was once known as the poisonous poison because it was colorless, odorless and almost impossible to detect. And an Australian murderer known as Aunt Tally poisoned her family with thallium hidden in cups of tea.
Okay.
So the symbol of lead, Pb, as you can see, comes from the Latin word plumbum,
Okay.
which is where the English word plumbing comes from. Fixing pipes
Okay.
that leaked. And bismuth, scientists can turn pure bismuth into beautiful multicolored crystals that make up a shape called tetraedron. And so let's move to this zigzag stair-shaped group.
Okay.
It's called the metalloids. And on the way, we can stop at arsenic, which I mentioned, and over here. Okay. So silicon is crucial in mobile phones and computer microchips. And scientists and movie makers think that silicon and life on other planets might be based on silicon.
Okay.
Something that's handy for a science fiction movie, right? So the camera lens which is shooting right now, contains germanium. And okay, so arsenic, it was okay, now let's go to arsenic. Arsenic was was used to make a green dye that was particularly popular for wallpapers, green wallpapers. So as I said here, arsenic is poisonous, and people thought that the French leader Napoleon died of the arsenic fumes coming from his green wallpaper. And so bullets contain antimony, and people a long time ago people used to deliberately eat mildly poisonous pills of antimony to clean out their digestive systems. And so polonium is fatally poisonous. Even a dose of 0.05 milligrams would be a fatal dose.
Okay.
Anything that comes in contact with it leaves a radioactive trail behind it wherever it goes, like a leaf that touched polonium. But fortunately, you shouldn't worry, because fortunately it's incredibly rare. It only occurs as tiny traces in rocks. That's fortunate, right? So now let's move to the non-metals. They are poor solid conductors. They are brittle with no metallic luster and gases. So carbon comes in many forms like graphite, charcoal and diamond. And nitrogen is used as fertilizer for plants. If nitrogen disappeared, then all plants would wither and die. So oxygen is every being on the planet, including you and me, need oxygen. Only one kind of creature can live without oxygen. Tiny microscopic sea creatures called Lorchifera. So here's a slightly gross fact about phosphorus.
Okay.
A scientist called Henning Brandt was the first person to discover phosphorus. And as I said, it was gross because he discovered it while he was trying to make gold out of his urine. So sulfur is the smelliest element.
Okay.
And obviously a skunk spray contains lots of sulfur. So as well as smelling awful, if it falls into your eyes, you can go temporarily blind. And coffee beans contain selenium.
Okay.
Coffee beans contain more selenium than any other food. Eating too much selenium can make someone's hair fall out.
Okay.
But the surprising thing is that a compound of selenium and sulfur called selenium sulfide is actually used in shampoo.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So now let's move to the halogens.
Okay.
These are the only ones that contain all states of matter, solid, liquid and gas.
Okay.
If you go into this, you'll find solid, liquid, and if you go into this, liquid, solid, like that. And this group contains all the states of matter, so that's what makes it special.
Okay.
So fluorine helps your teeth be clean.
Okay.
But it's used in a form called fluoride. It's used in toothpaste to keep your teeth pretty and clean.
Okay.
So So, but consuming fluoride, it can, and consuming lots of fluoride in water can make your bones like wiggly, squiggly like that.
Okay.
You can get deformities. And chlorine, as you know, is used to clean swimming pools,
Okay.
but it is poisonous.
Okay.
And bromine, here's something but wait, I missed something about fluorine, so let's go a little back.
Okay.
So fluorine is so reactive it can make bricks catch fire. So bromine is kind of against fluorine.
Okay.
So bromine it was ancient Rome. The Romans used Greek as a purple dye for luxury robes.
Okay.
They'd collected, here's the gross thing, they'd collected from the mucus of a sea creature called a murex. It looks kind of like a shell. శంఖం లాగా ఉంటుంది కొంచెం.
Okay. Okay.
ముళ్ళుగా శంఖం లాగా ఉంటుంది. ఇంకా నేను ముందు చెప్పాను కదా దీనికి అగేన్స్ట్గా ఉంటుందని. ఎందుకంటే it helps protect against fires.
Okay.
And fluorine makes fires.
Okay.
So that's why I said it's kind of against. It's used in fireproof of what do you call that? Furniture.
Okay.
And seawater and fish contain a type of iodine.
Okay.
That's why eating fish and seafood would make you or brain grow stronger. I mean, it's gonna make you sharper.
Okay.
Because it contains DHA. Iodine contains DHA and fish contain iodine. So if you eat fish, you're consuming the DHA along with the iodine.
Okay.
So aspartame, just like francium and polonium, it's incredibly rare.
Okay.
And scientists had to estimate what it will look like. So it's like a black solid.
Okay.
It will evaporate almost immediately after being created, just like francium. So now let's move to the noble gases, the pink group.
Okay.
And if you're wondering why would they call it noble gases, that's because they are stable gases that do not react naturally.
Okay.
So helium, here's some. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you something. Actually, hydrogen is this part of group, and so hydrogen is the lightest element, as you know, but it used to be used in airships called ziplines, but it was very flammable. So helium is flammable, and so it's a better alternative, even though it's slightly heavier. And now you see helium in helium balloons today.
Okay.
In parties. So neon is okay. So neon makes, as you know, neon is often used in lights outside.
Okay.
On shops. It has, if you run electricity through it, if you run electricity through it, it will give out a red color. It will glow red, fluorescent red. And argon is used in solar in windows, so that to make the heat, it's all like sandwiched between it's between the double glazed glass window, so that it's used in double glazed glass windows so that the heat inside the house doesn't escape outside. So it's often used in houses that are in cold, snowy places like Kashmir.
Okay.
So krypton is the Greek word for hidden, because it is rare. In fact, Mendeleev didn't even predict the existence of noble gases, including krypton.
Okay.
So xenon, and as you can see, this fact might not be that interesting, but xenon, it sounds like the name of an alien or planet from a new science fiction movie, right?
Okay.
So xenon is used in the more science fiction-y thing is that it is used in spaceship that explore deep outer space. And radon was once thought to be the ultimate health drink. Radon and water were once considered to be the ultimate health drink, but it turned out to be radioactive. And something else that's interesting is that if you freeze radon, and then it'll glow orangish yellow.
Okay.
So now let's move to the lanthanoids.
Okay.
They are bright, non-radioactive elements found naturally on Earth. So lanthanium, it took hundreds of years for scientists to figure out how
Open your mouth. Mic.
to purify lanthanium. It took hundreds of years for scientists to discover how to purify lanthanium.
Okay.
And if you rub a knife across cerium, it will cause sparks. It will create sparks.
Okay.
And the neodymium is used to make really powerful magnets. They are like strong like ferrosodium magnets.
Okay.
So the force of neodymium magnets, it's attracted to each other and produce enough force to snap open a break a bone. So you should be careful while handling neodymium magnets, especially if you put them to opposite poles.
Okay.
You should be careful not to bring your hand in the middle of them by mistake.
Okay.
And so europium is often used in Euronotes, and shopkeepers shine UV light on notes to see if they're fake or not.
Okay.
Real notes contain europium,
Okay.
and it glows like shines under a UV light. And terbium is used in green fluorescent lamps.
Okay.
And erbium compounds are pink colored.
Okay.
Cute, right?
Yeah.
Not exactly cute. Okay, I'll continue. And so ytterbium, did you notice that ytterbium and ytterium kind of sound the same at start? That's because both were discovered in a quarry in the same village, Ytterby.
Okay.
So lutetium, scientists often argue with if it's a if it is a lanthanoid or not. Some group it with the transition metals. Isn't that cool? It's like iron pulling to her side. It's saying she's with me, and lanthanium I'm pulling her. It's saying no, she's like me. It's like that. Okay, that's silly. So let's move to the actinoids, and they share something common with these lanthanoids, and that is they are at the bottom of the periodic table, and this group is named after the first one of the group actinium, and same with the lanthanoids.
Okay.
So actinium is so radioactive that it glows blue and in the dark. It gives off a blue light in the dark.
Okay.
And okay, and so uranium is named after the planet Uranus.
Okay.
And neptunium is named after the planet Neptune. And plutonium, and lastly plutonium is named after the planet at Pluto.
Okay.
Which is not considered a planet anymore.
Okay.
And so americium is used in smoke detectors in planes, in bathrooms like that.
Okay.
And curium is named after the Polish French scientist Marie Curie,
Okay.
who discovered radium. And Einsteinum is named after Albert Einstein.
Okay.
And fermium is named after Enrico Fermi. And Mendelevium, of course, is named after Dmitri Mendeleev, who invented the table.
Okay.
And nobelium is named after the Alfred Nobel. Named after the Nobel Prize is named after him.
Okay.
And lawrencium is the most radioactive element. And if you're thinking, well, that's all, that's the end. But
Okay.
wait, there's a little more.
Okay.
And now I'm going to talk about the smallest group.
Okay.
It contains just one element. It's the unknown group, this one.
Okay.
It contains only one element, unknown septum.
Okay.
It was a newly discovered synthetic element. So those are some of the facts, some of the interesting facts about the periodic table. I have many more, or I'll do more research and find some more facts. And in the next episode, part 2, I'll come up with some more facts and share them with you.